Yes, man, am I pumped up, everybody. I don't care that it's game 2 of the 162. It feels like adrenaline was shot right in me as soon as Juan mother effing Soto did the thing and went, sayonara, see you later, it's out of here. And the Mets have themselves their first victory of 2025. How's it going, all you beautiful people? It's Wardy here, and we're back at it with our latest live Mets postgame show. This time, our first victorious postgame show to break down this season as the Mets take down the Houston Astros by the same exact score that they faltered yesterday, this time by a final score of 3-1. In tonight's show, we're going to break down to a T, inning by inning, everything that transpired and this masterful win for the Amazons. What worked and what didn't, and trust me, a lot worked tonight. You had Juan, the one and only. We saw him, baby. He didn't get a home run yesterday. He had every Yankee fan and the mother thinking they won the World Series, when in reality, they're still dealing with the fact that they could not handle more than 5 games against the Dodgers. Fast forward 24 hours later, Juan Soto gets all of that one, and what? Wow, color me shocked. It's absolute crickets. How's it going, everybody? I'm amped up to get into this one. We're going to break down to a T not only everything that transpired in this ball game, but getting into your reactions and comments in the live show here throughout this one. So thank you guys kindly for smashing that like and subscribe button as you first chime in. It does really mean a lot. Shout out to our amazing sponsor at SeatGeek, everybody. If you guys want 10% off your next ticketing order for Mets tickets, the homestand's right around the corner, whatever you want to get involved with, check out SeatGeek. Use my promo code WARDY10, link down below in the description. That way you get 10% off your next ticket purchase. Baby, lock in. Let's spam those W's in the chat. That's what I want to see. Spam them right now. If you guys are watching and replaying, wondering what is going on with this guy, how you doing? My name is Tyler Ward, better known as Wardy here on the WardyNYM platform. We cover every single Mets game throughout the entire course of the 162 postseason play. News, rumors, you name it, we got you covered with everything here. And we're going to deep dive this fantastic, amazing victory for the Mets here, along with getting your reactions and everything in between. So spam those W's. That's what I want to see, everybody. And now bear with me 1 second as I try to find the jingle, because it's been so long since we've used it last that I have no clue where it is right now. So bear with me just 1 second. We're going to try to get the jingle going, and if for whatever reason we don't get it going, that it is what it is. But I do think that we are going to find it. Just give me one more moment, everybody, and I appreciate everyone's patience in here. I'm so amped up. I can't begin to tell you guys. I mean, I can begin to tell you guys because we're breaking it down together, but let me do a quick roll call, a shout out to everyone in the chat, and then we'll go from there. How you doing, Yazzers? Kayla, Manuel, Jay Feds, going up the list. My guy, King Fuego, how you doing? Steve Long, great member and friend. Darren, great member and friend. Alex Martinez, Michael, how you doing? Darren again. We got Ray Neal, Lewis, Caleb, Nathan, Robert, Zach Flagerton. We got Dave Kaplitz, as always, great member. Juan Diaz, great moderator and member in here. How you doing? Xavier, great member. How you doing? Anthony, great member. Everybody and your mother, Arlene, JTB, Ronald, Kevin. We got a lot of people to talk about. We got a lot of people to break down this ball game with in such little time. But guys, I want to know, what is the excitement level? What is the hype level after this game 1 victory? Not only did the Mets have things working right offensively today, even though it wasn't a crazy amount, but they also had everything working possibly imaginable on the bullpen end. It wasn't just Tyler McGill, Siler McGill, Big Drip McGill giving us 5 solid innings today, but it was the bullpen that backed it up. Edwin Diaz, cue the trumpets, baby. He shuts the door, and we have ourselves an amazing start to the year. Bear with me 1 second, everybody. Let me see if I can find this jingle. If I can't, I apologize. We'll do it. No, guys, we got it. All right, in case you're wondering what the WardyNYM jingle is, lock in and get ready. Let's do this thing. Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle live here on YouTube. Charlie Rock, thank you so much for becoming a member. I greatly appreciate that. To everyone first chiming in live on a replay, I got to see those initial reactions in the comments down below. Final thing I'll say before we completely let it rip and deep dive this, everybody, I have it linked in the description of the live show here, guys. If you guys are interested in attending a Mets game at Wardy this year, at minimum one, we might do multiple. You just got to be on the lookout to see it. We're doing a current pre-sale feeler right now to see which one of you Mets fans are interested so much that you're going to go out of your way to email me your information, which is just your full name and how many tickets you'd be interested in taking part in this event. We don't have the exact dollar amount as to how much they'll cost. They won't be cheap, but they won't be overly expensive either for the most part, depending on who you talk to. And we're hoping and planning actively a Mets event at Citi Field right now. But the only way I can make it happen is if people show up. So if you guys want to get involved, if you want to catch a game at Wardy, if you want to have the pregame tailgate and chime in when I'm doing my live show and rambling like I usually do, then simply head over to official WardyNYM at gmail.com. That way you guys can send me an email. That way you will automatically be on the priority list for the pre-sale, so that way you guys get first dibs. I first mentioned it in our pregame show today, and we already have over 10 people on the priority list, and I'm not going to be able to sell out the entire Citi Field, as electric as that would be. I'm limited with what I can work with. So if you guys are interested, you want to hit games with our guy Wardy this year, make sure to check it out. Description down below. Andres with a $2 holla. Thank you so much. Andre says, first jingle of the year, baby. Hype me up. Let's get this thing going. Let's lock in. Let's break down this masterful ball game. But we can't break down this masterful ball game without talking about the one and only in Juan Soto, right? Darren with the $2 holla. Thank you so much for that, Darren. He says, great job by the bullpen, especially Reed Garrett. You're preaching the choir, baby. You're preaching to the choir. We got our guy Manuel with the $2 holla, which says, let's go. Let's see who speaks about Soto now. Obviously, anytime Soto strikes out, Yanks fans will think it's the World Series. I think we've gathered that versus the reality that Juan Soto's going to play a 20-plus year career, right? And Yanks fans are going to let one great year, dominant year, all Soto did was give them every reason and then some to cheer for him, and they're going to let that live rent-free, and I couldn't ask for anything better as a fan. Pinworm, thank you so much for the $2 holla. He says, feels good to finally be 500. I know! It feels like forever since the last time the Mets were 500. Cue the jokes in here. Speaking of 500, that's exactly what the Mets were all spring training long. Weren't they like 13-13 with 5 ties, something along those lines? It was absolutely bizarre. But guys, let's lock in and break down this ball game, because it started in the first inning. We all saw it together. We're almost at 100 likes in the live show as well. So thank you guys kindly for smashing that like and subscribe button as your first chime in. It really does mean a lot. Let me know all your initial reactions to the Mets Game 2 victory. First big dub of the year with the one and only leading the way. But the Mets in the first were trying to get something cooking, and Pete Alonso was this close to ripping a dead center bomb, but it was a great catch by Jake Myers, and that did it. What did we see from Tyler McGill today? We saw a bit of a bulldog. I appreciate it. 5 strong innings. I'll take that every single day of the week from him. Velo looked good. Utilized at Arsenal well. We're going to have some keynotes to share on McGill here shortly, everybody. But Altuve strikes out on the slide piece because, of course, he does. He struck out twice on a slider that we saw from Clay Holmes yesterday. So that was a continuation. His third in 24 hours. Then we see Taylor there make a nice catch in center field, a nice running catch, and then not Francisco Alvarez, Yordan Alvarez grounds out to end the inning. Kane Fuego with a $10 holla. Thank you so much for that, Kane. You're the Kane, baby. Let's see. Have a great show, bro. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. Yes, where he's very emotional. I'm a very emotional guy, especially when things go right in Mets land. And then when things don't go right in Mets land, I give them a bit of a pass, but then when it's like we're really not doing hot, I gotta let it rip and be honest how I feel about the club. That's why we built this space. That's why we got thousands of subscribers here. That's why you guys are watching this. Because one way or the other, you guys either like my takes, hate my takes, but you're certainly interested to chime in and share the proper discourse here in the live chat and the comments down below. In the first, nothing transpired, which is what led us to the second. And in the second, we saw Brandon Nimmo, more like Brandon Himmo, baby. He rips himself an opposite field single to get the party started, going back to his plate setter ways, in which he's setting up everything beautifully for Marky V, Daddy V, Swaggy V, Vientos, ripping a double to left, and quite the silly after the fact, too. I don't know if he's letting that thing hang or what, but all I know is Mark Vientos is trying to make sure that last year was not a fluke. He's not going to get that quote-unquote sophomore slump for a guy playing. I understand he debuted a couple of years ago, but it was very limited sample sizes, cups of coffee. coffee versus playing 111 games, ripping 27 bombs last year. Mark's hitting 40 this year. Why? Because Wardy said so. Jesse Winker, a continuation of him just being the perfect fit for this Mets team. He does exactly what you need. Not too much, not too little. He's just right. Like your perfect set of porridge, baby. Cue the Bears. What we're talking about, though, is Jesse Winker right after we saw Mark Vientos driving the first run for the Mets, giving them their first lead of the year. Jesse Winker pokes one oppo, and that makes it a 2-0 New York Metropolitan lead. Tyrone Taylor, sadly, would ground out thereafter, and that does it for the inning, but not before the Mets already have themselves a 2-0 lead. Relaxation says, where's the Jenks now? Thank you so much for the $2 holla. I appreciate that. Any Yanks fans sulking about, oh my, look at these donations. They're all about Yanks. It's hilarious. Thank you guys kindly for the donos. Ronald says, nice win. Good to have you back. So happy to be back, Ronald. I'm so happy to be breaking down Mets baseball. Games that matter. I don't got to give you a little spiel about, oh, today's spring training game by a final score of 10-9. The Mets outslugged the Houston Astros at what was a clinic and a bullpen game for both teams. I don't got to talk about that nonsense anymore. I can talk about things that matter, and a lot of things matter to me. And you know, there's one thing that matters a lot to me, and it's this man. It is the man that has completely changed and saved my life in more ways than one already, and that's Juan mother effing Soto. Guys, let's take a moment to appreciate the greatness that is the $805 total contract value of a man in Juan Soto. Juan got all that bad boy that you guys see there. A towering shot, a liner to right, a ballpark that he knows all too well. This guy has been raking bombs off of Justin Verlander as a teenager, back as a 19-year-old, so he knows all about the big stage right away in Minute Maid Park. I know they've changed the name, but I don't like the name, so we're still calling it Minute Maid Park, all right? Juan Soto, though, who had the towering shot, who has had the home run heroics since he first came in the league, especially in this ballpark, to win the whole thing. Fast forward 6-7 years later, and he's doing exactly that same thing now, finally, in a New York Metropolitan uniform. What's the Wardy's email? It is official WardyNYM at gmail.com. It is linked down below in the description of the live show. I don't know if it's actual hyperlink or if you guys can just go type that up, but I have it in the description for you guys, so don't you worry. But Juan Soto, guys, he was not only as advertised, but a continuation of what was a great game by him yesterday. I know Yanks fans, again, took it to the bank. Oh, no, he struck out by Josh Hader, lefty slider biting. But listen, Juan wanted to have a big moment if it wasn't abundantly clear, and he was able to finally have that now for this Mets team, and that is what we got in this massive 3-1 victory. We got our guy Daniel Caps, a great member on the platform, just gifted 5 memberships to all you amazing Mets fans. Jerry Moore, you get a membership. Shrex, you get a membership. Cisco, you get a membership. JR, you get a membership. Rafael Torres, you get a membership. Congratulations, guys. In case you guys don't know what the memberships are, and Daniel, love you so much. Thank you so much for the continued gifted. Really does mean a lot. He does that after a lot of big wins throughout the course of the year. If you guys don't know what the memberships are, you guys get exclusive perks like key shoutouts from me every single live show that we do. You guys get a little bit of upper hand over the average viewers. Not that I don't love everyone the same, and I do, but if you're going to go out of the way to spend some money on me monthly, the least I can do is shout you out. We got emojis as well for you guys to utilize of current players on the roster. They are updated from the last time that we did that, among many other things. So guys, check it out. And we also do some member-only content like we did a season preview and Q&A the day before the season began, only to our members. So again, you will get member exclusive content every single month. It may vary as to what you're getting, but the goal is that you'll be getting at minimum one or multiple forms of content every month exclusive to just our members, along with the emojis, along with the shout outs and everything else that comes along with it. Let's see here. I apologize, everybody. It isn't a Wardy show without me having my darn intro run again. So behind that for a second. Again, it isn't a WardyNYM post-game show without a jump scare at least once or twice. You guys know the drill. And if you don't know the drill, get ready to know it, because that's all part of the process. This is not our first time covering Mets games. This is far from it. I'm pretty sure this is post-game show. I don't know. We're not at 1,000, but we've done a lot over the years. We covered every single game last season. We're going to cover every single one this year, and then we're going to have pre-recorded videos out for you guys in the early morning the following day. That way you get the perfect balance of if you want the stream reaction and breakdown, or if you want a nice level-headed recap, allowing more things than just the game, as I will be having nightly prospect reports out for you guys. guys, meaning tomorrow's video that'll drop before the pregame show and postgame show in Game 3 against the Houston Astros, I am going to have a video out just like we did today, a Big Mets Updates video, not only on the key takeaways of this game, furthermore, but also on the key prospect takeaways headlined by Blake Tidwell's dominance in AAA Syracuse today, among many other things. So very excited for that. Looking forward to getting into that after this one. But Hector with a $2 house says, Yankees fans can suck my you-know-what. Hey, pause. Appreciate the dono, though, baby. I feel you. I understand the vibes right now. LFGM indeed. Billy Dottie with the $5 house says, besides our GOAT Soto, our pen has been nails. Going to the last game tomorrow. Let's get the bats going. You said it, boss. Hope you have a fantastic time at the game tomorrow, Billy. I know you were there yesterday. Unfortunately, they faltered. I'd assume that you weren't there today, but if you were, that's awesome. Let's see. We will play the post-game jingle one more time before we're done with the show. You guys just got to remind me in the chat. I'll let you guys know when we're going to wrap things up. Not anytime soon, but when we do, you got to remind me, play the jingle one more time, and I will gladly do that for you. Just got to remind me, because I'm going to forget unbelievably fast as we're rolling throughout this post-game coverage, everybody. But let's break down this thing inning by inning a bit more here, because Juan Soto was great, but he wasn't the only story in this ball game, because as Juan Soto ripped a 96-heater upstairs, sayonara, it's out of here to right, it gives the Mets at that time a 3-0 lead. And just for some context, through the Apple TV broadcast today, that had a total of a 3% probability to hit for a home run. Just to give you guys an idea of how good, how generational Juan Soto is, i.e. the latest example right there. Then we see from Tyler McGill, he strikes out Cam Smith with a fastball away. He strikes out Myers, and that does it for the inning on 97 paint as well, which you're never complaining about, which leads us to the fourth inning for the Mets, where Jesse Winker does get on base for the second time today with a walk. Afterwards, nothing else transpires, however, which leads for Tyler McGill to do more strong Tyler McGill things us out. And Tyler McGill, big drip, oh baby, he's drippy. And Altuve did rip a single off him to kickstart the inning. Paredes ripped a single off of him too, and Alvarez did drive in a run with an RBI sac fly, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. Tyler McGill really hankered down when facing some of this adversity, and he gets massive back-to-back strikeouts on both Christian Walker and the young, oh-so-exciting backstop in Yainer Diaz to end the inning, which then leads us, folks, to the fifth inning, where we see Smith, then a walk, and a huge double play would end things. A massive double play turn there, started with Mark, then we see it to, to one of Beatty or Luis Angel. I think that was Beatty still, because I think Beatty was in the game till the seventh inning or so, and then to Alonso, bang, bang, boom, just like that, and that's it for Tyler McGill, because in the sixth inning, everybody, Juan Soto gets on with a walk, we see in the top of the inning, Alonso gets on with a walk, and WardyNYM unfortunately has a double play. The Mets don't do anything else there. In the bottom of the sixth, Myers reaches on a pass ball. Altuve then rips a single, and that does it for Tyler McGill's final line, everybody. It is as follows. Tyler gave the Mets 5 innings of 3 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 77 pitch ball, including a total of 6 strikeouts. Tyler McGill was pretty much as good as one could hope for today in his latest outing for the Mets. And as we're breaking down Tyler McGill, everybody, don't hesitate and don't forget to smash that like and subscribe on as you're watching the live show. It's greatly appreciated, and thank you so much in advance for doing exactly that. Help us get a 400 plus likes by the end of the live show if possible. To our replay viewers, really does mean a lot. We got over 600 in here right now, so again, thank you. But guys, Tyler McGill was pretty nails today. Can't complain too much about what we got from him, and I'm going to expand furthermore as to what stood out so much about Tyler McGill in our video that'll drop tomorrow morning. But I did want to first share the following, which was what we got from his arsenal, because it started with that four-seam fastball they utilized roughly 50% of the time. But what was the big thing about Tyler McGill? Why did he stand out tonight? It's because the heater, baby. He sat 96.5 on the gun with that fastball. That's a full almost mile per hour higher than last year, and if that can be consistent, Tyler McGill will succeed as long as the velocity is there to pair along with it. McGill is dependent on his velocity. We know that. When he doesn't have it, when he's sitting more topping out 95, it's a bugaboo. But when he's topping out like he did today at 98.3, good things tend to happen, like what we saw in this outing. This slider looked really good too, 22% of the arsenal, sat right around 85 miles per hour. The sinker, 21% of the arsenal. We saw him sitting right around 95. The changeup right around 91, and the curveball right around 81. Let's see some donations here from Manuel with the $2 holla. Thank you so much for that. Smash the like button, everyone. It helps. It really does. And thank you guys kindly for that. What also helps a lot is seeing in the comments down below, everybody, your reactions. So if you guys are watching this on replay, don't hesitate from spamming the comments down below, spamming the W's for victory. You can even use our emojis if you're a member, because we do have a W emoji if I'm not mistaken. We got a bunch of others too that you can spam and utilize throughout the chat, like many of you guys have and will continue to do. But thank you guys again for the support there. Billy Dottie with a $2 haul says, was not the game. Acuna continues to impress. I agree. And listen, I got ragged on yesterday, guys. I was not yesterday, and technically today. I'm looking at the comments from the Big Mets updates video. You guys are giving me flack for saying Acuna impresses from the outing yesterday. Guys, I know. I addressed it like within the first couple minutes of the video. I know Acuna botched that throw. I know Buddy couldn't land Alonso at first for that. Would have been a huge double play turn if it smacked him across the face. But what I also know is that a young player in Luis Angel Acuna not only rebounded with a huge double play turn an inning or so later, then had a nice play for Alonso, along with one of the best at-bats we saw out of any Mets batter yesterday, going 12 pitches to force a walk and to force the bases loaded against Josh effing Hader out of all people. I'm sorry. If you're not impressed by a kid like Acuna grinding out a bat like that, when he easily could have been free swinging like many others would have, then I don't know what else to tell you, all right? We have to take these small victories as they come, especially when the Mets lose a game 3-1, so naturally we're going to highlight the key little details there, the same way that we're going to continue to highlight the key details in this matchup, because we're not done breaking it down. Saw it, a great member of a month. What a game. Only issue is that it wasn't on SNY. I know. You're preaching the choir there, baby. I know. But hey, at least we got Wayne Randazzo. It was pretty cool to hear Wayno actually do an out of here call, and he posted it on X purposely saying that I said that for Gary. Obviously. So I thought that was pretty cool for Juan Soto's first home run. A shame that Gary wasn't on the call for it, but if it's going to be anyone that isn't actively in the Mets organization, it has to be Wayne Randazzo, because he's the next best thing. Wayne does a tremendous job there doing play-by-play for the Angels. Sadly for Wayne and us Mets fans, we lost him a couple years ago, but Keith Rad and McCarthy have been doing both a very good job in the booth, paired with Howie Rose there on the radio call. So all in all, everything's still good there. The same way a lot of things were good about this ball game, because the Mets are up 3-0 from the last time that we were breaking it down just a couple minutes ago. So as we get back in this one, and as we see in the 6th inning, Reed Garrett then comes in a jam that we see for Tyler McGill. And how does Reed Garrett fair? He's a bulldog, baby. He strikes out Isaac Paredes that we see there on a sweeper down the pipe, throws the man. What it would have easily been a hainer if Isaac just saw it. Thankfully, he didn't, and that's that. Yordan Alvarez, as expected, gets a walk because it's Yordan Alvarez. You don't want to pitch to him too much there, and that loads the bases. But here's the thing. If you're going to load the bases, you got to make sure that you can try to work out that jam, and you got to give a massive tip of the cap to Reed Garrett, because Buddy goes out and he strikes out Christian Walker, and then he gets a massive fly out on Yainer Diaz to end the inning. So, just like what we saw an inning or so ago, where Tyler McGill worked out of his own jam by striking out back-to-back and Christian Walker, Yainer Diaz, they would thankfully be yet again the demise of the Astros an inning later in the 6th, as the Mets are still up at that point 3-1, and that would stay for the remainder of the game. In the 7th, AJ Minter made his Mets debut, and it was hilarious because as a postie on X, welcome to Queens, AJ, I had a follower of mine, and they know exactly who they are, who's a Braves fan, saying, I'm sick, we need to bring him back. Well, buddy, you had a chance. Now the high leverage lefty is going to dominate in Queens, and that's how it's going to be. And yes, he's going to have a big outing or two against the Braves this year because I said so. AJ Minter comes in, he's a bulldog. Right away, he gives up a walk. That's Stanek. I'm looking at the wrong stats there. He works around a walk, no less, that we would see, which was important because he strikes out Myers to end the inning. AJ Minter looked pretty sharp today, and we're going to expand more on him in our video that'll drop earlier tomorrow for each and every one of you. But Minter, very happy with that first outing, especially when we looked at the velocity with him too. Not too much to complain about. He was sitting right around 95 miles per hour, exactly where you want him right now, and I'd imagine that he will tap into more of that ability, more of that velocity as the course of the year goes on, as he's coming back from the same exact hip surgery that thankfully David Pearson had. And if you're wondering, Wardy, why are you saying thankfully? I'm saying thankfully because AJ credited David Pearson himself, going back to the early goings of spring training, how it really was good to have someone with as much familiarity with the same procedure that AJ Minter had, which was the short end to his Atlanta Braves tenure and 2024 run with them. So he had that surgery and was ramping up throughout the offseason. Let's not forget, David Pearson didn't start the year with the Mets that we saw up until, June or so, as he was coming back from hip surgery. So really cool to have that familiarity with one another, and thankfully both have fully not only developed, but have fully blossomed into what are going to be key pieces for the Mets in 2025, post-surgery and all. So Minter got the job done. And offensively, Luis Torrens, listen, yesterday we saw Luis. We saw Luis Torrens yesterday go out and poke a double oppo. And the reason why we weren't really overly freaking out about it is because Cam Smith, the rookie, is the one who made it happen. Cam, what did he do? In case you guys are wondering, Cam Smith just missed the diving catch in right field, which allowed Torrens to get all the way to second. Fast forward a game later, Luis Torrens, again, our starting catcher for Francisco Alvarez, goes out and does the thing again. This time it's not a fluke. Almost an opposite field line drive home run. It was this close. It hits the top of the wall there, deep in right field, a complete oppo liner, and Torrens is safely there at second base that we would see. Who would have thought that throughout the first couple games of the year that the man who's leading the way extra base hits-wise, outside of Juan Soto, like what we saw today, is our catcher in Luis Torrens. Thank you, Luis, and please continue to keep it up because that was electric. Outside Torrens, we didn't really see anything else. Lindor got hit by a pitch shortly after. Thankfully, he's fine, no issue. Soto flew out. Alonso, with a fielder's choice, just makes it on while avoiding the double play, but BrandonNYM lines out, and that does it for the inning. Nimmo, sadly, a little bit of a rally killer, but he gets the benefit of the doubt as a man who was a plate setter in the beginning of this ball game for Mark Vientos to drive him in with that RBI double. As we advance to the 8th inning, we have the former Houston Astro. The man in over 20-plus innings throughout his professional postseason career has right around a 2.5 ERA, majority with the Houston Astros. Last year was dynamite. He was absolutely fantastic for the Mets and Ryan Stanek. Stanek comes out and he gives up a walk right away to Jose Altuve. Then he gets a key fly out on Isaac Paredes that had some of the Astros fans thinking that they had something cooking there. And speaking of Astros fans, you guys are going to show up a little bit? Why is it that I thought this was Citi Field with the way that Mets fans were just dominating throughout the majority of this ball game when looking at fandom and how loud you guys were, especially after the Juan Soto home run? That's a testament to Mets fans that are traveling, especially on opening day weekend, and furthermore, how amazing they truly are no matter where we are in this great country. But now getting on from Isaac Paredes' fly out, Alvarez then has a ground out. That's Yordan Alvarez. So that's a massive ground out there. Worked beautifully by Ryan Stanek, and that was a great stop as well by Luis Angel Acuna to eat it up there as he came in around the 7th, got absolutely torn down in his first at-bat. It was like, again, it looks silly. It is what it is. I think Okert is the one that carved him up, but otherwise, Acuna's defense was fine in this one, and Walker with a line out just about does it. So Ryan Stanek gives us a nice, clean inning of work, which sets everything up beautifully for Edwin Sugar Diaz in the 9th. And before we talk about Edwin a little bit more, AZ has a $10 donation, which states the following: Mets baseball is so back. Soto playing baseball relaxes my soul. McGill was solid. Swaggy V doing Swaggy V things. Mets put it in the books, baby. LFGM. LFGM, my man. Thank you again kindly for the donation, AZ. That really does mean a lot. You've been a long-time supporter on the platform. For those that don't know AZ, he is a frequent caller when we do live callers, and great news, everybody. We're going to be doing more live callers on the platform. Not every single game or anything like that, but we're going to try to do live callers at least once a week, every week here on the platform. We're also doing watch parties at least once a week, if not multiple times a week, thanks to my awesome friends at Playback app. And you guys can check that out by clicking the link down below in the description. Playback, for those that don't know, is a revolutionary sports app in which you guys will be able to join my room, which again is linked down below in the description of this live show, where it has playbacks.tv/WardyNYM. Join that room, and when I do my first watch party Tuesday next week against the Miami Marlins, you guys will be able to watch the Mets game live with me as I share my own play-by-play and reactions. How this works is you sign in actually using your MLB TV account. So as long as you guys have an MLB TV subscription, you log in with Playback that way, and you watch the game in sync with me live as it's happening. And the best part, it's simulcast. So that way I'm also going to be live at the exact same time on YouTube with a scoreboard representing. That way I don't have to deal with copyright infringement or anything like that. Shout out to Playback for making that happen. And then we're going to be able to interact with you guys in the Playback chat as well as what we will have in the YouTube chat throughout the course of the game. And then we will do our usual post-game coverage live solely on YouTube once that watch party is finished. So we're going to be doing those at minimum once a week throughout the course of the year. We're going to have a lot of fun, and all you guys need to do is by clicking that link in the description down below to join my room to make it happen. So I hope to see you guys there. We're going to be doing so much fun Mets content this year, guys. I'm actually really excited because last year, I'll be frank by saying that there were a lot of things that weren't formalized the way that I was hoping for getting into the season. We have so many things working behind the scenes right now, guys, that this is going to be without question the biggest year on the platform yet. We're growing at an astronomical rate right now, and you guys can help us get to our next short-term goal of 33,000 subscribers by simply smashing that like and subscribe button, because best news, everybody, we're giving away another Mets jersey as soon as we hit 33K on the platform, everybody. Every new 1,000 subscribers we hit on WardyNYM, we're giving away a Mets jersey or something Mets related. We gave away already 2 Juan Soto authentic Mets jerseys and 1 Juan Soto shirt jersey, because everyone that's won these only wants Juan Soto merch, understandably so. So hit that subscribe button, comment down below, and let's continue this great conversation, everybody. And again, thank you guys kindly for watching this live on a replay, because everything set up the stage that we saw there for Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. And what did Edwin Diaz do in the 9th? He absolutely shut the door down. Edwin was as advertised for this Mets team and gave the Mets their first close and their first official victory of the season. And just in case you guys were wondering, how did Edwin look with the velocity today? It's a good question. He had 1 strikeout on 15 pitches, didn't allow a walk, didn't allow a hit. Remember when some schmucks out there were kind of running with the idea of, oh no, do we have an Edwin Diaz velocity issue when it's spring training and he's ramping up? How about you shush? Let's look at Edwin Diaz here, everybody. Fastball, sitting 98 today. Slide piece, sitting 89, 90. What is there to complain about? His velo is actually slightly upticked higher from last season on the average fastball. So I don't want to hear any nonsense on the Edwin Diaz velocity controversy. What I see with Edwin Diaz is a man who's looking to get back to not only being dominant, but hopefully, fingers crossed, more of the 2022. Not that Edwin was bad last year, but we know that Edwin Diaz was not his best self in every outing. He was able to, obviously, deep down in that back pocket of like 101 plus that we saw in the postseason, which was electric, and I expect to see that velocity in the triple digits when the timing is right. But what we got from Edwin Diaz, what we got from this Mets bullpen is pretty much as good as one could possibly hope for this Game 2 victory. So again, everybody, to recap, the Mets won by a final score of 3-1. They out-hit the Houston Astros in tonight's matchup by, let's see, let's look at the total hits right here, right now, 5-3. So again, there was not a lot of hits in this one, and there wasn't really any bad luck either. You know, the Mets had a 235 expected batting average. The Astros had a 237. So it wasn't a situation where one team only had a handful of hits, but they had a 300 expected batting average, which means that they had some bad luck on their side and some great defensive web gems by the Mets or an opposing team. That didn't happen. It was just as simple as the Mets pitched really well. Tyler McGill did his job. The bullpen was absolutely nails, and the offense did just enough to keep them afloat now to be 500 throughout their first 2 games of the season, everybody. We're going to continue to break down the key takeaways from this matchup with each and every one of you. But guys, I am going to let you know that while the live show will continue, to my replay viewers, this is about where we're going to cut things off. So how this works, in case you guys are wondering, in case you're new here, how we do our live shows a lot of the time is I'll go live for around a half hour or so as we broke down everything you need to know about the immediate ball game reaction for the Mets, and then I continue the live show. But for my replay viewers that didn't catch it live, you'll realize that the live show is cut off after around a half hour or so. That's because I cut it out because the algorithm likes it a lot better when it's not as long of a live show. And secondly, you guys probably don't want to watch an hour, at most 2 hours long, especially when I take live callers, of a post-game show to a baseball game that would say only 2.5 hours, right? So I understand that, but we're going to cut things off now. So to all my replay viewers, thank you so much for watching. Let me know all your key takeaways in the comments down below. To my live viewers, we're going to continue this discussion. But again, guys, check me out on playback. Check out Wardy MLB, our new official MLB-wide YouTube channel that you guys can subscribe to. Already at almost 400 subscribers, over 1,000 views with our first video. Very happy and fortunate for that. We will be pumping out another new video as soon as Monday is what we're looking at, as I'm going to be recording it this Sunday barring changes. So be on the lookout for all the fun. SeatGeek for 10% off your order. Guys, let me get to the donation from Steven, the chat, and everyone else. To my replay viewers, this is where we're cutting things off.